Alrighty, back here on KPOO San Francisco 89.5 FM. Joining me right now is a comedian that I've wanted to have on the show for a while, and I've seen him. You're not aware actually, Luke, but I've seen you. I started seeing you 2 or 3 years ago. I saw your first act, and I thought it was great. I saw you at the Brainwash.
The Brainwash. Yes, I've performed there many a time.
This is Luke Lockfeld here. And if you want to follow Luke, do you have a website or should I give out the Twitter?
Just the Twitter.
It's LLDABEAST, LL the Beast. Again, you've been
There's
doing...
an @ symbol before it.
Right, yeah, because it's Twitter. But you've been doing comedy for a few years, right? I don't want to give away your age. I think that's part of your...
Right. I like to keep it hidden. I'm very, where I don't... The word where you don't tell people that.
That's the word is female, because females don't give out their age either.
No, I've been doing comedy going on 7 years.
That's a good amount of time.
It is.
But you started younger than most people.
I would say so. I was definitely a teenager. I'll give that information up.
And what was that like when? So let's say you were maybe 15 or a little bit younger.
Right.
What was that like the first time you went on stage? Because most comedians, especially at open mics, they're between 25 and 50 sometimes. And a lot of them have been doing it for a very long time, and it seems like they're not the most welcoming people, some of them.
I could definitely agree with that. I'm very unwelcoming myself at this point. But, when I first started, definitely there was a lot of people who really welcomed me and were supportive. But also, though, I started really young. And for the first few years, really, of my career, it was more gimmicky. My jokes were different than they are now. They've definitely developed over time.
Did you play off your age a lot?
A lot. And I got a lot of great bookings out of it. I met a lot of cool people, but, I couldn't do that forever. That's for sure.
That's true. You gotta, even if you start, you get whatever age you start at, you really have to grow as a comedian. Otherwise, people get tired of hearing the same comedians say the same things.
And I definitely still say the same things most nights of the week. But everything has to grow and starting super young, I had a really high voice. Mm-hmm. And I was super short, chubby kid.
Oh, nice. That's a good look for
long hair.
Comedian.
A lot of people thought I was a girl. Yeah, that's really.
I had that before too.
But eventually I flowered, bloomed.
So where was the first place you did an open mic? Do you remember?
The first place I did an open mic was at the San Francisco Comedy College years ago.
A lot of people?
There was 2 people at the first open mic I ever did.
Oh, that's perfect.
2 of them. It was good. Because I was really nervous, as most comedians I think are going into their first time on stage. It took me months, of writing. I wrote bits that I, never did, just working diligently on them, and yeah.
What do you? So when you're 15 years old and you're writing a bit, it's got to be mostly based on high school stuff and video games. Your mom, right? So did you censor yourself too? And were you a clean comic? Because you're not really a clean comic now.
Well, I don't do a lot of sexual based.
You don't. You do swear.
I swear. I catch myself sometimes, but
That's good.
I prefer, at least when I'm on stage, I try really to, merge between doing my written material and just having fun with
riffing
the audience
stage,
and riffing.
Yeah.
And so a lot of that is more unfiltered because I'll tend to swear more if I'm just coming up with stuff on the fly.
It's funny, like I said, you probably don't remember this because the first time I saw you was at the Brainwash. It was probably 4 years ago, and you were hammered.
Yeah.
And you got on stage.
Nice.
But you were actually really funny. And it was one of those nights at the Brainwash where half the people are doing homework, a quarter of the people are actually doing laundry, and then the other 25% that are listening are the other comedians.
Right. And
so you had a rough crowd anyways, but you were cracking me up. And, and I've seen you many times since then. And you can see Luke, too. First of all, you'll be at this thing, the San Francisco Stand-Up Comedy Special, which is a weekly show, I think, at the Phoenix Theater. And that is at 414 Mason Street. And if you want to get tickets to that, go to Brown Paper Tickets and search for SF Stand-Up Comedy. And then Saturday night, There's a comedy night live. This sounds really cool, which is at the Great Star Theater, 636 Jackson Street, and you'll be there at 7:30. And it says in this flyer, it says, bring your own booze.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's the selling point there.
That's pretty cool.
Brown bag it, bring it on in.
I didn't realize you can do that.
I don't know. Hopefully you can.
I mean, it says right here. Oh, also, well, there's I can't say the price of the ticket, but anyways, get yourself some tickets to that too. 510-672-7186, the Comedy Night Live. So you've gone from doing open mics, obviously, to booking many gigs, and also
many gigs. Almost a dozen at this point.
You were telling me that so you went to Colorado recently.
I was in Denver, Colorado. I've got a bunch of good buddies out there. I actually hang out with a crew called Sylvan Productions. You could look that up, sylvanproductions.com. And we have our sister city. We call Denver our sister city. They have a great comedy scene there. And
so you booked a bunch of gigs there, though.
I had a bunch booked. We did a 420 festival. It was for April 20th.
Because pot is legal in Colorado.
It is.
What's that like?
It's
haven't been
pretty
there yet.
crazy. You just walk right in there. They're like, hey, here you go. And then...
Wait, no, but what about when you go to a comedy club?
Well, the comedy club, they still know the smoking ordinances are still in effect. You can't, on the street in public areas.
You can't do it. Not even on the street.
Not even. I think it's ridiculous. But
I'm picturing in my head that you just land and you get out of the airport and then you start smelling it everywhere.
It does smell. But last time I was there was in 2012. In the summer, and I mean, they definitely still had it available. Its availability is the same.
Is it because obviously in San Francisco, if you have the right credentials, you can buy it legally.
And I do have those proper identifications.
Is it similar to that, except you don't need the card?
It is the same. And one thing is they have raised their prices in Colorado since the last time.
Because there's taxes.
They tax it now, and I was there, right around 420, and there was just enormous lines all over.
Really?
I actually waited like an hour in line, which is something that,
that's kind of crazy. Now you have to wait longer to get pot, and it costs more.
But I think it was the holiday. I think that...
Sure. So why did you get into comedy in the first place? Were you watching...
I was watching
TV or
some,
comedians?
I mean, at the time, I was super young. I was watching Chappelle and lots of comics on TV, but...
is there one stand-up special you saw that you really liked?
One stand-up special? Wow. No, I couldn't narrow it down to that. I mean, there's so many.
I mean, you mentioned Chappelle. He had a great one in San Francisco from a few years ago. Many years ago. It was before his show.
Anything Chappelle does. At the time, I don't watch as much comedy as I did before I started. Now, just because I'm around it so much and I'm seeing so much comedy on a nightly basis that I'm just kind of forced to sit through. That it's like going home and turning on Comedy Central.
You don't feel like it?
Yeah.
Well, who would you say influences your act?
Who influences my act? I mean, definitely the greats. Mitch Hedberg and, Bernie Mac is a big influence to me. Yeah, I really like Bernie.
It's a good one.
I don't know. The list goes on and on. I don't want to just give this cliche answer of all these greats.
You forgot George Carlin.
George Carlin, Rodney Dangerfield.
Bill Cosby.
Right. But I'm mostly influenced, I'd say, by the local scene, and I also think that I'm, fairly influential or have been, we all kind of feed off of each other to a certain extent. And any comedy scene is going to be like that.
So you went to Denver, but what other cities have you done comedy in? And do you think the Bay Area stands out for any reasons?
Okay, so I've done. I've done comedy in San Francisco, L.A., Denver, Austin.
There's a good one.
New York.
Oh wow!
And Humboldt County.
I'm not even going to write that one down.
You don't have to. You don't have to write it at all.
A fringe city.
I don't even think people that live there can spell it.
But so New York, I always hear that's really tough. A really tough scene.
It's a really packed scene, which in that way is at least more so lately. It's similar to San Francisco because there's so many comics out there, and everybody is. I mean, I don't claim to really. I only stayed there a week, and this was a couple years back.
But you did a few shows.
But I did a few shows, and I would definitely have to say that they really do hustle out there, and they really, have it together.
I'm picturing guys that kind of like push you out of the way to get to the front of the stage,
right.
and they all wear like a sport coat.
But it's becoming that way, and it has become that way in San Francisco, like with the, ferocity. I don't know words. I don't.
Ferociousness.
Can't believe you have me talking for all this time.
Ferociousness.
Whatever. There's a lot of people flooding into the San Francisco scene lately. Just over the past few years. I mean, it's easily, doubled or tripled.
Really?
Since like 3 years ago, for sure. Absolutely.
And are some of these people kind of rude? Like, I'm picturing, I don't know for sure, but the New York people, their sense of humor is very dry and kind of sharp. I'm thinking of like Seinfeld and
I don't know. I guess New Yorkers are jerks. That's just
that's kind of well known. Yeah,
but any comedians, a group of comedians though, fighting for a mic, it's going to get crazy. People, long lines, super long lines waiting, and yeah.
What's Austin, Texas like for comedy? They're a big music city.
They are. I was out there for a comedy festival called Out of Bounds. Mm-hmm. And I just did 2 shows, but it was a good town. I had a lot of fun. They had the whole street closed down out there on the weekends. And
was it a good audience though? They listened to what you had to say?
I had 2 shows, and the first show, I didn't do very well. I didn't do well at all. I'll just get that out there. Second show I did great, but what was wrong with me bombing that first night was the girl before me had crushed it, and she was just terrible. In my opinion, it was just like, oh my gosh.
But it worked.
But she killed it, and then that brought me down. That really, really made me feel bad. But I came back the next night and crushed it. So, but it was a good trip. I stayed at a hotel with all the anemones.
That's what I'm saying. You book gigs and you get to travel too.
On the road. I love being on the road. But yeah, I went by myself. I much prefer to go with a friend or 2 from the city.
But just to get the booking in another city and get things taken care of for you, that's really cool.
Yeah, and getting picked up at the airport,
Are you kidding me?
So cool. Yeah, I mean, it wasn't by a limo.
But still,
it was just like a lady who was volunteering for the festival with like dreads.
That's cool, man.
A bunch of dog hair in her car.
That's really cool. I've never been picked up. I'm sometimes the guy who actually picks people up at the airport. That's one of my side jobs.
Maybe one day you work up to picking me up. Yeah.
Wow. All right. Luke Lockfeld is here. We're going to go to a quick break. If you want to find out more about Luke, go to LLDebeast, DABEAST. Also, Sylvan Productions. Is there a website for that?
SylvanProductions.com.
SylvanProductions.com. All right. We'll be right back. Just going to go to a quick song here. Luke Lockfeld on KPOO San Francisco 89.5 FM. That was Ben Harper with Burn One Down. You're listening to KPOO San Francisco 89.5 FM. Burn One Down. We were just talking about my guest, Luke Lockfeld, doing comedy in Colorado. And I'm sure they burn a lot down because it's free or it's legal to smoke marijuana.
Oh, yes. You can burn many down.
Do you find that I've done a few open mics, and the thing for me is, at first, I was like, I definitely need to have a couple drinks. That gets me loosen me up. But
Loosey-goosey.
I don't think I would ever want to get high on pot and talk in front of people. I could never do this under the influence of because first of all, if you're on a stage and you're talking to people, you can see if people are listening or not, and at least you're talking. But I could not imagine coming into a studio, talking into this microphone, and looking out at a computer, and who am I talking to?
Right. I like it.
Do?
I do like it. I enjoy it.
How does it work for you? Like,
okay, I used to say you couldn't be too stoned to do comedy.
That can't be true.
I used to say it just goes really, really stoned and then asleep.
Yeah. Okay.
But I've changed my mind on that after a few pretty horrific experiences.
Well, because people get paranoid, even if pot is legal and you got high legally, there's still
you're still paranoid, and everybody is looking at you. This is the one situation where you think everybody's looking at. No, they are looking at you, and they are judging you. That's exactly what they're supposed to be doing.
So that has to play in your head a little bit.
It does. It definitely does. I think there's just a balance. You know, I mean. at a certain point, with anybody, I think if you're smoking too much, you're gonna lose your motivation to speak. You're just and I mean, you're not doing well. It's just like and the energy. Another thing is energy on stage.
Right.
Some rooms, it depends. You really got to read it. Like when you get up there, it could be so that it's a low energy crowd and you can't force them into.
Yeah, you should be able to switch based on who you're talking to.
You can't just force all that energy onto them.
Yeah.
Because if they don't want it, then they won't take it. They'll just be like, he's not connecting. But if it is a high energy room and you bring that energy, that can really help you out. Which smoking marijuana.
You're saying it can actually, if you are high and you're a little slow paced
on a low energy room, yeah.
That'll work.
Hey,
but
it works for me. It works. This is not for everybody.
I know,
right?
but if you go into a high energy room, you don't want to hit that room with more high energy. You want to slow them down a little bit.
It depends. It's all about reading the specific audience. Different audiences are different.
That's really interesting. And if you're in Colorado, most of the people are probably under the influence of marijuana at a comedy show.
And the altitude affects it.
Yeah, I hear that with drinking too, but that's another.
Boom. It works both ways. Yeah, well, it works with both of them. I tried a lot.
Well, it's funny that you say, too, if you smoke too much marijuana that you would lose the motivation to speak. I happen to agree with that. But I happen to know a few friends that one of them works in, I don't even know, he's like a botanist and works with plants, and he works at a nursery and cultivates things. He's high all the time, but he has no problem. Like, you don't have to speak. You're just doing the same thing over and over.
Yeah.
He just bought a house. He's my age, and he knows, he could care less. It doesn't affect him in that way.
I think most jobs you could just be stoned for.
Yeah, unless you're speaking for an extended period of time, that's not good.
I mean, I guess you could get used to it. It's all about though, it has to do with, I think, the amount that you are, finding it important of what people's reaction is. Like if you are, really caught up in how people are going to react, then you're not going to do as well, I think. And that's one thing that marijuana can do, is make you really concerned with what other people are thinking.
That's true. That's a bad thing.
So yeah, I don't think that's the best on stage. But if you can tune it out. Tune it out. And as we were talking about other occupations, I had a comedian in here, Stephanie Silverman, 2 weeks ago. She's amazing. First of all, she's a really funny female comedian. Yeah, of course, yeah.
And then she revealed that she finished law school, passed her bar, was actually working as a lawyer in San Francisco, and decided, I don't want to do this anymore. I'm going to do stand-up. And so a couple times she would go from the courthouse to an open mic, and then finally just said, I'm done with law. And we were just talking about another comedian who I won't mention, he's a doctor.
A doctor, yeah.
It's pretty interesting that a lot of people, now does that guy still work as a doctor?
I believe he does.
Oh, wow. But it's really interesting, the types of people that try out stand-up comedy.
I'll just say this. I am actually going to be going from the courthouse to an open mic later this week, but that's because I'm on trial. So
different reasons.
Well, but no, I guess any kind of background you could be good at comedy. There's no prerequisite to being a comedian.
No,
my experience is mostly in selling drugs.
Mm-hmm. That's why you'll be at the courthouse later.
Right.
It's funny. Some of the funniest stand-up comedians are high school dropouts, and then there's a lot of people that are like the Conan O'Brien types that went to Harvard and
graduated.
It's totally different. You're right. Any walk of life can lead you to comedy. Let's talk about you, though. Were you in high school, were you kind of a class clown type? Did you get in trouble?
I got in a lot of trouble.
Okay.
I considered myself pretty funny, but I wasn't putting thumbtacks on the teacher's chair or anything.
You weren't being mean. You were just being funny.
Yeah, definitely wasn't mean.
Yeah.
I don't know. I guess we would do creative writing things. I grew up in the San Francisco public schools.
How is that, by the way? I wasn't there.
I mean, hey, it's public school. What do you really expect from it? But I'd never had any other schools to compare it to.
What are the other students like in San Francisco public schools?
I thought they were all dweebs.
That's better than. There's an alternative to that, which is I'm scared of everybody because they're going to kill me.
No. I was. I mean, there's a lot of really cool locals and natives, and I really to everybody, who's living in San Francisco, that's from San Francisco, like those are my people, really. I think, but on the other hand, everybody in school is like sucks, right? School sucks,
but
no,
for sure.
It's kid jail.
Did you get kicked out of the class?
I've been kicked out of many classes.
Okay.
For
It's kind of
different
what
things.
I suspected you to say.
I definitely got in my fair share of trouble, but most of the funny stuff I feel like that I was doing I had pretty good outlets for that. Like, they do lots of creative writing. You get to read your journal in front of the class, that kind of thing. Like, that's where I'd be getting a lot of my class laughs. But
I was thinking back on this the other day. There was this one guy who I went to high school with in middle school. He ended up not doing stand-up comedy, and I think he's in jail or something. But he's one of the funniest kids I've ever seen. Period. And he was the total class clown type. And I remember very specifically. This guy, we were in math class one time, and the math teacher was just the most straight-laced woman, the older woman. She was just, a total buzzkill, And he was just making jokes and just killing. It was like he was doing stand-up in front of a crowd of students, and he got kicked out of the class like he would all the time. But I remember this solidified him as one of the funniest people I ever met. The teacher kicked him out, and usually it's like, here's a referral, go to the office. Say you're sorry or whatever. But this teacher said, she came back in and she just like put her hands together. She was like, you guys, I know how funny he is. You have to stop laughing because I cannot
stop
teach you.
laughing.
She begged us to stop laughing. It was the funniest thing. And had this kid seen her talk about him like that, he probably would have been the next Chris Rock or something, or Robin
He
Williams.
would have felt that power.
I'm telling you, that was the
power does
ultimate
exist.
validation of how funny he was. All right, well, let's go to a break real quick. We're going to be coming back in a second, and Khafre J is going to be here from hiphopforchange.org, and I want to talk to him about a lot of stuff. And then hopefully the three of us can talk about some news stories and things, because I haven't seen Khafre in a while. But we'll be right back. You're listening to KPOO San Francisco 89.5 FM. All right. Back here on KPOO, San Francisco 89.5 FM. That was Aziz Collins there. It's a track named San Jose. Aziz sent me that song, asking me to play it on the air. I've done it twice now, so hopefully he enjoys hearing his music on the radio. What do you think of that? It's kind of a cool R&B vibe.
Yeah, I dug the chorus, man.
You don't hear too many San Jose songs.
Nah, you don't.
I don't know if
San
I've
Jose
ever heard any.
represent.
Yeah, exactly. You can't hate a guy for representing his neighborhood. Khafre J is in the studio from hiphopforchange.org. Been here many times. Hiphopforchange.com too, right? Both of them?
We got them both, just in case, But definitely hiphopforchange.org. And I want to thank you again, man, for having us here. We have been kicking a lot of behind, man. We've done some really inspirational things. We're growing in great directions, and I don't think we could do it without our team of people. So if I could, I wanted to give a little shout out to our grassroots staff, our outreach director, Olivia, Andre, Leah, Joe, Kirsty, AJ, and the best partner a cat could have, my man Devin Weaver, for holding it down. So
nice.
If people want to work with us, they can hit us up on our website, hiphopforchange.org.
It's great that you have a team. Also, I should add Luke Lockfeld's here, comedian, personality, radio personality.
Hello.
Producer, all kinds of good things.
Yeah, some of those.
Yeah. So giving the shout outs to the team, which we've talked about before, it's so important to have a good team with you, helping you do these projects. You put on all kinds of shows and concerts, and it wouldn't be possible without many people.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I mean, first off, we have a grassroots team out there hitting the streets almost every day of the week, having conversations about what hip hop really is, and just allowing the community to help fund our work. We've been throwing the largest progressive hip hop shows in the Bay consistently for a while now, giving that platform to local progressive artists that need it and deserve it. And right now, we've been working in a lot of schools. We just came back from our residency at Rooftop, where we just teach, our MC program. It stands for Theory of Hip Hop Education and Music class. And we've gotten...
Well, Luke and I were just talking about, he's a product of the San Francisco public school system. So you're with the public schools going in
Well, I'm always with adding more arts education. I think self-expression is the key for young kids. I mean, I really don't care if you can add up 2 + 2 if you're not a fully realized person and you know how to apply it. And I think a lot of that has to do with people learning how to express who they are on the inside.
But the schools are welcoming to you to come in.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Well, I tell you this, the teachers are very welcoming.
That's cool.
And I don't think I've talked to the district yet, but the teachers, they're hungry for us. They know these kids have a lot to say and a lot to get off their chests. As a matter of fact, in disadvantaged communities, I personally think a lot of these kids are walking around with PTSD and they don't even know it. Self-expressive arts therapy is so important.
How's that go, though? Because my friend's a teacher in the East Bay, and I think you'd be great with his students. He's 5th grade.
Okay, well, we can do it, man. I just talked to a teacher the other day that did pre-K hip-hop classes.
So they don't need to clear it with the district if they don't want to.
Well, we're an organization. You know, people bring in organizations all the time. I really don't know how the back-end stuff works with them.
Yeah.
But I know we're official as a referee whistle, so to speak. So we just get it in there, and we give kids access to, number one, the idea of what a culture is and why hip-hop is one, a little bit of the history behind its inception, you know, with peace, love, unity, having fun. And then the coolest part is that we give kids the actual access to the tools of hip-hop. We had 185 kids breaking in the gym.
Wow.
Yeah, that's what I said, man. It was magical. We had kids doing graffiti, words that, you know, express who they were, or things that were on their heads. And
where do they do that? Like on a wall, or
no, just on paper. You know.
Okay, that's what I
thought. We also talked to them about organizations they can get involved with, like Precita Eyes, where they can actually, you know, get their hands dirty doing this stuff. And then we had them rapping about some really important stuff, man.
Did you record that?
We got a chance to make a couple of recordings in the class. All the kids got a chance to present. So
that'd be a cool mixtape.
I think so.
The kids mixtape,
right? But yeah, I think we're doing this. We're gearing up to do this a lot more and more. There's a high demand for us in the San Francisco Bay Area, and you know, we're going into the KIP program in Bayview Hunters Point at the end of this month, and you know, they definitely need it. You know, I think for this to work in a school as well off as Rooftop goes to show that it's probably going to be a lot. It's going to be well received in communities that really, really need some support, especially if we can rock out in these kids and their own culture. So.
And you know what else? After I asked you, does the district care if you show up? I mean, they do bring your parents to work day. That's, you know, not too different. I mean, it depends what your parents do, but they could have all kinds of people coming in. So
yeah, absolutely.
They don't have to clear that.
No, I don't. It's never been an issue. And we've got insurance and everything, so we're great. But I think the most important thing is that, you know, in this day and age when people are so focused on STEM and the core and whatnot, and money is just drying up for these kids to have access to arts education, they're losing the ability to express who they are, to realize how they feel about the world. Not to mention, some kids don't like to play the clarinet. Some kids don't want to play violin. Some kids would be better served if they could get in the studio and make a beat or write a rap. So.
Man, my mom was adamant about me playing an instrument, so I picked the saxophone, and I stayed with it for a few years, but eventually it fell away. But I would have loved to. I mean, I listened to E40 when I was in 5th grade and Tupac. I would have loved to have been a part of that, but there was no, not only in school, but there was no even an after-school program.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, that's what we're here for, man. You know, for all the educators that want to work with us out there, we do this on a sliding scale. So if you can afford it or if you can't, hit us up. Let us know.
Most educators probably can't afford it, I'm imagining.
Well, you know,
unfortunately.
That's what we're here for. We're here for the disadvantaged, and, you know, we won't shut out the advantaged as well. But, you know, we need to get this type of expression out to the kids so they can have something that's already theirs. I've said it before, kids are going to use hip-hop whether it's full of idiots or intellects. So we got to give it to them the right way.
So, in addition to that, Hip Hop for Change and your group BPAWS and your own hip-hop music, that's all going well, too.
Yeah.
You guys got another show coming up?
We got an album actually coming up. We're releasing our next album. It's going to be a full album, man, on June 3rd, so look out for it.
Wait, is that what I have in my CD player here?
No, that's actually the 2014 Hip Hop for Change mixtape.
Okay.
Yeah, 15 tracks of just real amazing Bay Area artists. But yeah, BPOZ, we're coming out on June 3rd with another one. It's going to be an amazing one, so get ready for that.
Do you have a release party or anything planned?
We're getting it going. I know we have a show we're going to be rocking on the 30th with a lot of new stuff at our Hip Hop for Change show. So I guess that could be kind of like a lightweight release, but not really. I think we're going to do one specifically for B-Pods and get it cracking.
Nice. Also, I should mention, last night I was looking at this video you did. You're freestyling on the street with a guitar player in front of Ben and Jerry's on Haight Street. And I don't know if you have a better place to get it, but it's on my Twitter. If you go to @Derek_Keller here, HERE, I put it on my Twitter. It's a really cool video. What inspired that? Like, how did you... And who was that guy?
That was a guy, you know.
He had a cool name. It was, I forgot what it was, but it was like the Magic Man or something.
Something like that. Yeah. You know, I work out in the community a lot, and you know, I was sitting out there on Haight Street talking about hip hop, and this guy just approached me. He was into hip hop. He said he was doing something. He wanted me to rap, and I tend to rap at every chance I get. So
yeah, it was great.
Yeah, we had a little fun on the street.
And I would have totally played it right now. You had one swear word in it, and I could have taken that out, and maybe I will in a future show. But
no worries. And the last thing I wanted to say is that we're also doing some amazing work in the community. We actually geared our entire grassroots program to just pay our folks to go out in the community every Wednesday and work for other local nonprofits that support poor communities and people of color. So we've been doing some pretty big work. We work with Planting Justice, which is an amazing organization, planting fruit trees at a juvenile detention facility, Camp Sweeney. We worked for Save the Bay a couple times, planting salt marsh grasses. East Oakland Community Project, I think it's an assisted living facility we helped out as well. So I wanted to let people know as well, if you want to come volunteer with Hip Hop for Change, you can come meet us at our office 11 o'clock every Wednesday.
Office.
Oh, yeah, 2313 at a community space called El Quilombo.
Wow, that's awesome, man.
Yeah, real big.
Let's go ahead. Let's hear this track right here. This is B-Pause, or is it just you?
No, this is a track I wrote for a group, Planting Justice. Check them out, plantingjustice.org. They're building, community gardens all around. It's very needed.
This is off the mixtape too.
This is off the mixtape.
All right, Khafre J. We'll be right back.
We see this Western development spread across the globe like a plague. It's horrifying that we gotta fight our own government to try to save this world. That's the case. A hand reaches out asking for a bite to eat. You ever been feeling the pain while you trying to sleep? The land is trying to grow, but there's something wrong. Man is harvesting more, but enough is going to waste. Fraud and abuse, the truth of the IMF. Get a little bit of money just for trying death. Petro, agro, capitalistic. That seed'll only grow if you got money to spritz it with ground up ready. Yeah, I ain't no seed sowing. Years later now we wonder where the bees going. GMO, we got some monocrop food system, man. We dying just to get some nutrition. Look, corporations aim to make us think we need a store. When Mama Nature gives us all we never want and more. A billion people tonight who should be eating more, dog. They just trying to feed the war, not the poor. We gotta plant some justice, grow some seeds, dig in the earth for our groceries. We gotta promote the culture for those in need, cause the world got some folks to feed. Yo, we gotta plant some justice, grow some seeds, dig in the earth for our groceries. We gotta promote the culture for those in need, cause the world got some folks to feed, no doubt. Walking through the hood, seeing all the vacant lots. Up in my head thinking we should scheme to make a plot. Grow a crop for the block, we'll be full soon. Now the little kiddies doing good in the schoolroom. A hand reaches out asking you to show him how he can touch the earth so that he can feed his people now. Take his hands off the cuffs, put him in the ground. Steal him back from the man, get him back to his land. Man, we fighting it just for the space, right? To plant a seed so that we can get a safe bite. Food organically grown so it tastes right now. Food deserts growing faster than a race stripe. The lake level getting lower than my waist height. World hunger's growing higher than a space flight. A revolution now growing in their face might be the thing that's at the place right for the light. We gotta plant some justice, grow some seeds, dig in the earth for our groceries. We gotta promote the culture for those in need, cause the world got some folks to feed, no doubt. We gotta plant some justice, grow some seeds, legalize hemp, decriminalize weed. Gotta promote the culture for those in need, cause the world got some folks to feed, no doubt. No doubt, Yo, it's time to fight back, Take our planet back from this snake of a capitalist system. If you're listening to this, do me one favor. Go to hiphopforchange.org and stand up with your boy.
All right. That was Khafre J, and it's off the Hip Hop for Change mixtape. Where can you get that?
We can get that in the streets, man.
Oh,
Hip-hop.
wow. It's real
if you
stuff.
walk up on one of our grassroots officers, they'll have a lot of goodies for your support. So if you shoot them a little bit, they'll give you a mixtape. They'll get you tickets to a future show, or they'll get you a nice hip-hop.
Would you call him a hip-hop officer?
Grassroots officer.
I love that.
Yeah, that's grassroots activism.
Officer.
Right?
Learning how to raps.
We hold it down, man.
That's pretty cool. And we talked about this before. Yeah, you guys are hiring and bringing on volunteers. I mean, if you want to help out this great cause, hiphopforchange.org is the best place to go, or Hip Hop for Change on Facebook.
Yeah, absolutely. We got Twitter, we got Instagram, all that. So
got it all.
Just stick with us, because in the end, the only thing funding, this for-profit fake gangsterism is our dollar bills. So,
yeah,
if we can have a system funded by our dollars that kills people and puts bad ideas, then we could do the opposite.
Easily. And I've had you on, at least it's been over a year now. I don't remember the first time you came on, but I've seen you guys move from, you now have an office, you're throwing shows, looks like monthly, or pretty
almost,
close.
But every other month.
Yeah, but definitely your guys are moving in the right direction fast.
Absolutely, man, absolutely. We got a staff of 8 right now, and we're trying to grow. So once again, if you guys want to get with the movement, if you would rather work for a nonprofit focused on uplifting the hip-hop community and the community at a larger scale itself, check us out.
And then you got a show coming up too, Elbow Room, the 30th.
Yeah, May 30th. I think that's the Friday after next. Man, it's going to be a great one again. We've got a couple cool things going down. We've got Mikatron, which is an artist that's rocked for Pride a bunch in SF. She's got an amazing, hard-hitting style. We got Richie Cunning, of course, one of the most lyrically astute rappers in the Bay, to come bring his swag style. We got B-Pods coming with it. Again, hottest group in the Bay, if I could say so myself.
You guys are great.
And then we got a cool partnership with Today's Future Sound, which is a nonprofit that brings in beat-making equipment into classrooms.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
because I only had the saxophone or clarinet or flute, and now you get the beat-making stuff.
Yeah, they got MPCs, turntables, and all that. And they're going to come with a bunch of their producers, and they're going to have a beat battle on stage.
And this is into public schools?
Yeah, they're going to public school.
Wow.
Man. Yeah, it's kind of interesting,
You're making me want to go back to public school.
It's kind of a novel idea. Take what these kids like and then let them use that to learn.
There's nothing wrong with learning how to play the saxophone or piano. Those can translate into other things, but to just jump into right what you're familiar with, who knows where that'll take you.
I did jazz trumpet myself.
Did you?
Yeah, I did. First chair.
Dude, really?
Yeah, but that was so long ago, man. Stuck?
What grade?
I did that 6th grade all the way through 11th. Yeah.
I quit in 10th with sax. But see, the worst thing ever happened to me was when I was in 4th grade, I got first chair. And the teacher was like, "You're the best one here, and everybody's going to be looking up to you." And then we ended the year, and she's like, "Have a great summer. See you next year." I showed up next year. There were 2 or 3 4th graders now better than me.
Yeah.
And everything was a downhill slide.
Yeah.
I never worked for it.
Oh, man.
And now I don't play.
Well, I never stopped rapping, I can tell you that.
That's true, yeah.
And I think, if you give kids access to the stuff they already like, man, I wish I had known somebody who knew how to b-boy back in the days, because I would have been the best. I know it. But yeah, it's just about giving these kids access to just the tools to express themselves, man, in whatever shape, form you can do it in, whatever facet that they're more excited to go with. Yeah, give it to them.
Definitely. Well, there's a bunch of news going on, and Luke, I want your opinion on all this too. And Khafre hasn't been here in at least a month, so I want to get your opinion on this stuff. First, I got some hip hop news I want to go over first. So you must have heard about the Dr. Dre. He signed a $1 billion agreement, and now Apple basically is going to feature, as far as I know, the Beats headphones on. Is going to feature the Beats headphones on Apple products, and I was thinking, I'm in the market pretty soon for a new iPhone. I wonder if it's going to come with some Beats.
It probably will, man. It probably absolutely will. He is balling now because of that. I think the initial sale was something like $3 billion, and he's supposed to get 1.2, something like that.
He's gonna ride either way. They're gonna let him ride.
Yeah,
let me ride, exactly. This is Dre Day, if you know what I'm talking about. No, but seriously, I think it's pretty cool, man. I didn't realize, too, I figured Puff Daddy or Jay-Z was already a billionaire, but they're saying he's going to be the first billionaire.
Yeah, I know Puffy's got like 700 million or something like that, which is amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know Jay-Z's way down there. I think him and Beyonce put together is like 500.
Really? That's it?
Something like that.
I get $189 a month on my EBT card.
Wow, that's pretty good.
Right?
What are your headphones called?
My headphones,
Yeah.
they're the airline ones that you get for $2.
Yeah, I think my card's got a little like that same amount. So
Yeah, that's pretty cool, though. I've been saying this for a while, too. I want to get a pair of Beats. This will probably be the best way, is now I can just buy an iPhone and get a pair, hopefully.
yeah, Android. Me personally, I rock with that because you can mod it out more.
The phone, yeah.
Yeah, I was just thinking about getting a Mac, but those things are intense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll see how this works, too. Like, if you get the actual cool Beats headphones, they started really cool. They're big, and they're
Yeah.
good for studios.
I heard they're not the best though.
Now they're getting down to, like, these little things that just cover your... You're right. They're
I
not...
heard they're pretty crappy.
After this, they've already been sold twice. First Dre had his official ones, then I think Monster bought them or something, Monster Audio. So now I wouldn't be surprised if they're not that great after all this.
Yeah,
I really liked the ad campaign he did though.
What was that?
Where it was just, like everybody hating, like it was Kaepernick on one of them.
Oh, yeah.
And everybody like just saying, and he's just blocking it all out with his.
That's how you gotta be.
I don't know. I guess it was.
People have been hating on him for a long time, and he had his headphones on the whole time, and he was just grinding.
Well, yeah, I know Steve Jobs would be jealous of his campaign.
Yeah, probably, yeah. Also, this was interesting, too. I didn't realize he was still seeking money from Death Row Records. He was seeking about $3 million.
Still to this day.
1.2 million.
3 million.
1.2 in unpaid royalties, 1.1 from digital sales, and 670,000 from mechanical royalties. He dropped it though after the $1 billion. After he got $1 billion, he said, "That's all right, I don't need it."
I could imagine him being mad enough at Suge Knight to keep that going.
If you'd asked me in 1995 who's going to end up with more money, Suge Knight or Dr. Dre, I said Suge Knight easily.
Yeah, easily.
Tupac, Snoop,
Absolutely.
all worked for him.
Well, Tupac was trying to. Well, we don't want to get into conspiracy theories.
No, I agree.
But Tupac was trying
to get
run.
out.
Everybody was trying to leave Suge because I don't know. I don't really want to work for somebody who's hanging people over back.
We've never talked about this. We've never talked about this. But what do you're a rapper, you're from the Bay Area. What do you honestly think? Do you think Suge Knight had anything to do with it?
Well, I'll tell you this. They say
He got
that,
grazed by a bullet in Las Vegas. Tupac got hit 7
Yeah,
times.
and Jesse Jackson also wiped ketchup on his shirt when King got shot.
I didn't know about that.
That's what Coretta says. But
Okay.
I'll tell you this, man. Usually the easiest explanation is the right one.
I know.
And at that moment in time, Tupac was ready to leave Death Row. They had been arguing. He was ready to sue him for a bunch of money. And that's the only thing that I know that anybody was mad at Pac other than just the fake rap beef he had. So I don't know. I don't.
Well, there is one other thing, which is I read a really good book. It's called "Got Your Back." I can let you borrow it, or I can give it to you, I guess, because we're such good friends. But it's written by his bodyguard who was there that night. And if you read this, you might have a different opinion. But he also says that the one of the biggest things was that there was a huge fight that night in Vegas. They have video of it, and Tupac kind of just ran in and kicked a guy in the face or something because he stole somebody's jewelry.
Well, yeah,
So that's who they blamed, and then that guy ended up getting killed a few months later. So it kind of ends with that, but you're right. There's a whole nother host.
That sounds like an easy explanation too.
It does, yeah.
That happens in the hood all the time.
Luke, what did you think about Tupac?
The same thing I think about 9/11.
What's that?
Absolutely nothing. I don't care. I wasn't there.
Yeah.
Yes,
That's true. You're a little bit younger than me. So
Oh yeah. When Pac died, I was a baby.
Yeah. So speaking of dead celebrities, we had an appearance by Michael Jackson last night at the BMAs, which is the Billboard Music Awards. And I didn't watch it, but I watched this replay this morning. They did this little gimmick that they keep doing, which is the hologram performer. They did it with Nate Dogg and Tupac. I think it started with Elvis on American Idol like 10 years ago. And it's funny because it really doesn't look good, especially on TV.
Well, let me tell you, man. So the last Rock the Bells I went to, which I probably never will go back again because their lineup is just horrid now.
Really?
All the time. But the last one I went to, it had the Wu, and it had,
I was going to say Wu-Tang was there.
Yeah, and Tribe. And,
Oh, right.
Man. Oh, yeah, it was epic. But they had ODB there. They had his son, and they had ODB come and make an appearance. And, I don't know if it's because Wu is just Wu, but it was amazing.
Okay, that's what Ludacris was the host last night of this show, and he said if you were in person, you would have thought it was magical or something like that. So
yeah, I thought it was amazing.
It doesn't work on TV so well.
Yeah. I just wonder who's getting the money from it.
That's another good point.
Who's getting the money, and then they're not spending that time putting a new artist on stage.
No.
Somebody that's already passed. So,
Smooth criminal.
And when we're done here, I'm going to play a new song he has, too, which I'm wondering. He has a new album, and I don't know where that money's going either.
Oh, man.
Little Blanket. Remember Blanket?
Blanket, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But there's a lot. You're right. There's a lot of fighting over his property and real estate, or his estate, I should say. But I don't know. I think that's unfortunately going to be the future. Is you go to Las Vegas, you'll see hologram Frank Sinatra.
Yeah. I mean, if they got the royalties, they can do it, right?
Yeah, it looks like that they have no problem putting the hologram together. It's probably more business stuff. Can we legally put him on?
Well, I heard it took 6 months for them to design and develop that act last night. And I don't
Really?
know, yeah. I don't know how long the act was.
It's probably the guys in Silicon Valley were probably. It was only one song.
Yeah.
But they were probably, the guys who make that probably look nothing like a musician. They're tech guys.
Right.
With their,
tech guys.
Yeah.
Oh, how native San Franciscan
This is another hip-hop group we've never talked about. The Insane Clown Posse.
Oh, man.
I got to bring this up because I'm not a fan, really, but I just realized that they're doing their 15th annual. They call it the Gathering of the Juggalos.
Yeah.
And listen to some of the people who have been there in the past: Cypress Hill, Tech Nine, Yellow Wolf, Too Short, Ice Cube, Mac 10, Method Man, Redman. Over the years, Shock G from Digital Underground.
Yeah.
This has been a big thing. And this group, if you were 10 years ago and you saw this group, you said, this is a stupid gimmick, they're not going to last. But these guys have a gathering of juggalos, as they say, which juggalos is the name of their weird fan base.
Devout fans.
These people are devout, exactly, and they're dedicated.
It's hardcore.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering what you think about that, because would you, I'm not saying...
So, look.
Go for it.
So, check this out. So, am I going to, put them on Pandora? No. Is that type of, I don't know, fake image.
Yeah,
rap,
these guys dress in clown
Is that
outfits.
what I prefer to listen to? No.
Right.
But if you look at one of the elements of hip-hop, that's street entrepreneurialism.
Yes.
That's being underground. And those cats
Yes.
have built an empire of angry little kids that don't feel like they have their own identity, so they put on face paint and become who they want to be.
It's true.
Now, I would never, ever buy one of those albums, ever. It's so far off from what I appreciate, but you've got to respect that hustle, and for them to get
their fan base.
Oh, and their fans are diehard. I mean,
They're weirdos, though.
They are. I mean, they are. I actually. I had a little experience with a kid I used to hang around who was a juggalo himself.
I heard you have to be careful. I don't want to say anything bad about
hatchet
them.
people.
I don't want to say
they hatchet with hatchets.
He was an angry, larger white kid around a lot of black people, and that. I don't know. That's just a hard place to be in life because society's so overburdening. But, I know when he put on face paint, he started talking about juggalos and solidarity. I was like, all right.
But I just like the fact, and I mean, if you had a group of people that were diehard like this following you around,
we'd save the world.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point, is that these guys just wear makeup and wrestle.
Yeah, and I've also heard of juggalos doing really dumb stuff.
Me too,
ending up in jail and things like that.
Yeah, of course.
Like I said, their music, number one reason why I wouldn't be on my Pandora is because it's not uplifting at all, in my view of what uplifting is.
Right.
But, I don't know. I just think, what is his name? Violent J?
Violent J and Sammy or something.
Something like that. I don't know.
I don't even know. But all I can say is that they have their following, and I don't know another hip-hop artist right now that has a elite following that will go.
Not like that, man. I think they're on the level of
their
Kiss
face
without the marketing campaign.
That's pretty much
what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But yeah, man, you gotta respect the game.
That's when I saw that. I was like, 15 years they've been around? Wow. And not only that, I mean,
dude, these juggalo parties, those gatherings are.
They said a lot of wrestling and Too Short goes out to it, which I was shocked.
I bet he'll go there every single year.
You gonna go, Luke?
I'm not gonna go. I actually had some buddies go to the last one. This guy Vince Mancini has a blog called Film Drunk.
I've heard of that.
I think they do. He drinks and then reviews films. I don't know that he just gets drunk. But they did a thing where they all flew out there. A couple of San Francisco guys, and they did a little documentary.
Oh, wow.
And I guess they're getting some backlash now, or something. People are all angry at them.
It's not a favorable documentary.
I don't think it shows them in a favorable light, but I think they did their best. I don't know though.
They're showing an outside perspective.
Well, maybe they don't want that. Yeah.
Those guys are funny. It's Vince Mancini and Matt Lieb, and his blog is called Film Drunk.
Yeah, hip hop is big enough for juggalos, man.
That's true. Yeah, we should welcome all. And speaking of welcoming all people, we didn't get to talk about any Donald Sterling stuff in the past 3 weeks, and I think it's coming to an end as far as I can see. But there was an article out today. It was USA Today, and they're basically saying that the worst thing for Donald Sterling would now be what he wants to do, which is fight the NBA. He doesn't want to pay that $2 million fine that he was assessed. He does not want to give up the team. And he has a background in law, and people are saying he might fight this for years. But it's really funny because nobody is mentioning the fact that he's 80. How many years of legal fight does he have in him?
Well, yeah, he's an old dude. I mean, his wife said he might have dementia.
It seems like I've been listening to a lot of his remarks, and they keep getting a little more scattered.
Yeah. I mean, well, he went back on and just kept digging, kept right on digging. I remember that one thing he said about Magic. Right before he said it, he paused, and he was like, I'm probably going to get in trouble for this again.
The AIDS.
And I don't know why he didn't listen to that voice in the back of his head right there, because it was screaming at him to shut up.
Yeah.
Don't say this. But I'll tell you one thing, man. I hope he does fight this. I hope this is in the news as long as it possibly can be in the news, because it is an instance. It's an instant in America, in American media, where we have to focus on the stupidity that people still have in this country.
That's true. Yeah.
That old laissez-faire, that mentality that comes back from chattel slavery, it is out there. We've had 3 times the level of hate groups since Barack Obama's been in jail, and I still talk to people on the streets, and they tell me we have a black president, everything's fine. To this day, it's kind of interesting, but the more we can get idiots like him in the news, the more we can have real conversations about some really important stuff in America.
That's true. I wish they would focus on the fact, too, though, that I would like to see the position his kids are in and things like that, because we should really focus on, he's racist, but he's 80, and when he dies, his children aren't probably like that. I can't speak for certain, but we're kind of like aging out this bigger problem, I think. And he's a great example. Like, he's 80. He grew up in the Depression.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you this. When you party, you're going to run into black people. So his kids will probably have a little bit more experience with brothers and sisters than he does. I'm just guessing.
I'm sure he grew up in a school without any black people.
Yeah.
And it's just been the thing that I don't think the media should be making a big deal out of is trying to change him, because he's 80. He's just going to be gone in like 2 or 3 years.
Yeah, he ain't. You can't teach an old dog new tricks.
You can, but should we be trying with this guy?
You can't teach an idiot new tricks. And
no.
I think idiocy and racism correlate perfectly.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And I'll be honest, too, like my grandfather, he passed away 5 years ago. I didn't get to know him incredibly well, but I heard him say a couple racist things over the years. And at the age of 7, I was like, geez, that's not what anybody else says.
Yeah, well,
and then my dad would give me a look like, he's 85. What do you expect?
Well, I'll tell you, I know older black people that say white people ain't no good. And I don't think... I take that from its cultural context, because I know people that are grandmas and grandpas have experienced some of the worst stuff in the world, and you can't really blame them for wanting to pull away from an entire population of people. Now, the other way, I don't really understand so much. But, Donald Sterling.
You mean the old grandpa that I have?
No. Well, yeah, I guess so, yeah.
I didn't get to know him that well, but
back then, that stuff meant a lot. You go back 200 years, what country you came from meant a lot more.
That's true. That's a great point.
But post-colonialism is one thing that is rampant in our society, and until we have conversations that get out and tease out those types of mentalities where, we can view it without Bill O'Reilly saying, oh, they're just race baiting, then, we won't deal with this really important, serious stuff that America still has on its shoulder.
Luke, is all this going to keep you from going to your favorite Clipper games?
My favorite basketball games don't exist. I'm not a big sports guy, but I will say that as far as Donald Sterling goes, I don't know if it really is benefiting people to keep him in the media like that, you know.
Yeah, it is kind of giving him more of a platform.
It's giving him more of a platform, and then also I think one aspect of it is that it's just people are paying attention to him because of his money and you know his ownership and stuff. Like, you know, if he was just a regular racist guy, you know, there's nothing. It's just like, oh, that guy's just a racist. We just go about our day. But because he's in this position of power,
I've always had this belief that people who have a lot of anger in them in their old age, they don't make it too long. And I don't want to point out anybody, but I'll just say this: Hugh Hefner's like 87. The guy actually, among other things, was like a civil rights guy, but also the guy's happy all the time for obvious reasons. And he looks like he's doing well. He's like 88 or 87, and I predict another 10 years for him. All right, the last thing I want to talk about is I always like to focus on the environment because it's in such bad shape, and we're getting into summer now, and there's fires. San Diego especially, really bad. There's two things. One was that there was a study that came out 2 weeks ago, and the White House actually released it too, about the fact that Antarctica is going to basically melt away. It's just not a matter of if, it's when. Yeah. And then, of course, there's some people that still don't believe that it has anything to do with us living. Idiots. It has nothing to do with us living here. But the worst thing is that I think what we're going to experience, and they're saying the fires in California and Arizona right now are a clear example of what's happening as the Earth warms, regardless of who causes it. And it's certainly an example of what we'll see more in the future. And this used to really bum me out, but I've thought two things most recently. One of which is that maybe humans aren't designed to make it overall, and that because, I mean, realistically, we're going to lose this habitat unless we can kind of transport to another planet. Yeah. And if we do that, then what's to stop us from going into another solar system? And like, do we really want humans to just spread out all over the galaxy?
I'm down.
I don't. But the other thing I thought of is if it does get too hot for humans and the mass, you know, the majority of us unfortunately die off, I would be happy knowing that the things that'll probably continue to exist are like reptiles and lizards, things that can deal with heat.
Yeah, for sure.
And so the thought of us dying and then dinosaurs coming back and like stomping over our dead body, I'm in with that. That's my positive outlook for today.
Well, I'll tell you one thing. Mama Nature is fine. There's not many scenarios that scientists think we could turn this place into Venus, you know what I mean, where it's just boiling and incompatible with life.
You don't think that'll happen?
No, but I mean, before, you know, during the Cambrian, like Russia opened up for 600 million, like 60 million years or something, of just the worst lava flows the planet's seen while we had life, and like 90% of everything died.
Yeah.
We are causing some crazy stuff, and we're losing a lot of species, and it's a shame. We might make it. I know the thing is we have the technology to take carbon out of the air. We have the technology to power our planet. We have all this.
They're saying if we could cut zero emissions in 100 years.
It would still go. It would keep going.
It would really slow things down, though. That's what they're saying now, is we really need to just slow it down.
Absolutely. I mean, so with the ice sheet, the problem is that the underlying...
Watch your language.
With the ice sheet?
Watch your language.
Well, with the ice sheet, the underlying... topography means that there's nothing to actually stop these glaciers from going in there.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, they say it's below sea level, so there'll probably be warm water spilling in underneath the glaciers, which will speed it up. And that'll take about 200 to 900 years, they're talking about. And it's a shame because, you know, with climate change, we're going to see a lot more things like fires, a lot more, you know, Africa says, you know, a lot of people from Africa say 2 degrees of temperature is suicide for them. They will literally not be able to afford anything. And actually, there's some people predicting a full global economic failure in 15 years. We won't be able to feed this many people, and it's going to hit a head. So it's crazy stuff. We're either going to make it, we're not going to make it.
I don't think our generation will be the one that dies and then has dinosaurs stepping on us, but maybe a couple hundred years down the road.
Well, you know, one thing, we have global economic collapse right now.
Yeah.
It could be worldwide famine. We could lose 3 or 4 billion people just real quick. I don't know, maybe 2 or 3 or whatnot. I'm not a scientist, but if we can't ship food and our entire economy is based on globalization and, you know, food getting from Brazil to China and then soy getting from there to here, if that stops right now, a lot of people are not going to be here.
That's true. And I don't mean to make a joke out of it, but your group is named Be Pause. And honestly, the most positive thing I've thought about lately about this issue is that if we do come to an end, hopefully lizards and dinosaurs will gain
make it
some
back.
steam.
How is that a positive thing that lizards and dinosaurs are going to just be walking around instead of
Because
you?
they deserve a return. It's
They're
not.
still lizards are going though. They got them all over the place.
I know, and they might
make a
congregate
comeback. The big lizard comeback.
and get bigger too. I don't just want little lizards. I want the
It would
big
probably
ones.
still be mammals, just to throw it out there. We're better at regulating body temperature and better brains.
I don't know enough about this science, but I'm just hoping. Like, it's sort of a Jurassic Park fantasy, but I would rather if the world.
Just the knowledge that maybe after you're dead there'll be some lizards walking around makes you feel better.
100 million years down the road, and
All
the
right,
Earth.
man. I just don't like lizards that much.
Oh, really?
I just can't catch them.
Well, you'll be dead. That's the whole point.
So, yo, I wanted to
Okay, go ahead.
throw my party out
Do
there
it.
because I want to make sure you guys are able to get tickets out there before it sells out. You can get them on the website, hiphopforchange.org. Yeah, just come check out a good show. Yeah, just come out. Check out Mika Chan, Richie Cunning. If we want to change and build up our scene in the Bay Area, we got to do it ourselves. And if we can give out some tickets, man.
Let's do it.
I got 2 free tickets.
A pair of tickets.
A pair of tickets.
And that's for the event on.
May 30th,
Okay.
2 Fridays from now, Elbow Room in the Mission on Valencia between 17th and 18th. It will be cracking.
Okay, and then Luke, you got some shows.
I got a couple shows. This Friday, you're on it. It's
You're not supposed to say that, but go ahead.
You're not
Somebody
on
will be hosting it.
it. The Phoenix Theater. That's this Friday, and all the Fridays after that at what is that? 414 Mason Street.
I don't know. I've never been there.
at 8 o'clock. And then the next night is Saturday. I'm going to be at the Great Star Theater.
Big show.
Big one. 636 Jackson Street at 7:30, and that's BYOB. So you can bring your own booze right in.
Nice. All right. Well, thank you all. And if you'd like tickets to the awesome show, it's going to be at the Elbow Room, May 30th. Khafre J and fam. Give us a call here, 415-346-5376. We'll get you hooked up. Thank you all for listening. I'll be back in a minute. And I wanted to go out with this right here. This is the new Michael Jackson, the second single off his new album. It's called Escape. And I don't know who gets the money from these iTunes sales, but hopefully his estate does. I'll be back in just a minute. Thank you for listening.
I met her on the way to Chicago.